a problem that had arisen recently after the war, namely the appearance of detergents in waterways and streams that were receiving discharges from wastewater treatment plants. These foams that were forming on the top of the water bodies were attributable to sulfonated alkyl benzenes, and they were detergents. And my thesis topic focused on how to remove those, because they were not removed in traditional wastewater treatment processes, and so they did end up in streams and waterways. I focused on a variety of means for removing sulfonated alkyl benzenes from water, but principally on the utilization of activated carbon to adsorb them and therefore remove them. In terms of developing an interest in the environment, I actually did that before I went into college. I was asked in an interview while I was in high school for a football article what I wanted to be when I went to college. And I said I would like to be a chemical engineer, and I would like to focus on the application of chemical engineering principles to solving environmental problems. While at Rutgers University, I was given the opportunity to teach a course in fluid mechanics, and that I found to be very rewarding, even though the students in the class were only a year or so younger than me, and very challenging. I decided during that course that I would like to be a teacher. That was very important and influenced my direction. I told this to Brewster Snow, who was one of my primary mentors at Rutgers University, and I asked him if I could stay on at Rutgers. He said, would be delighted to have you come into the teaching field, Walt. He said, but you're not going to do it at Rutgers. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you're going to go to Harvard, where I went. And he took me to Harvard. He drove me to Harvard, and I met a person who had a remarkable influence on my career, Professor Gordon Maskew Fair at Harvard University. And that began then a 4-year stay at Harvard, 3 years getting another master's degree in chemistry, and in addition to the undergraduate degree in chemical engineering and a master's degree at Rutgers in what then was called sanitary engineering, which I helped later to name environmental engineering, but that's where environmental engineering had its primary start. And so I went to Harvard, and I was married at the time, and I had a young daughter, my first of 4, and she, of course, went with me with my wife, Ruth, and we spent 4 years in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I studied jointly between Harvard University and their Division of Engineering and Applied Physics, and at MIT as well. I took courses in fluid mechanics at MIT, courses in chemistry and chemical engineering there as well, and courses largely studying aspects of water sciences at Harvard University. And so it was a very nice combination of education coming from 2 different sources, both of them very competent in their field, Harvard University and MIT. In 1962, my mentor for my PhD thesis was Carroll Morris. He was a physical chemist who graduated from Princeton University. And he is the one that helped me focus on the choice of a suitable project for my PhD dissertation, and that was looking at means, whatever means were possible, chemical means, physical chemical means, or biological means, to remove the synthetic detergents from wastewaters. And that's what I started to do. I started to do that first by reading as much as I could on the behaviors of these chemicals and their properties in water. And I decided that adsorption technology, that is the use of solid materials to which chemicals will attach themselves by physical and chemical forces, looked the most promising to me. And Carol Morris and I made a proposal to then the U.S. Public Health Service, which was responsible for water control, and we were awarded a grant, which supported my PhD studies at Harvard, along with helping Professor Fair teach his courses at Harvard. So he and Professor Fair and Professor Morris were two very direct mentors, but a third one that played an extremely important part in that too was a young professor who had newly arrived at Harvard from Switzerland, Werner Stumm, who later became the water chemist of the environmental field. And so he was the third of my mentors at Harvard. They played different but equivalently important roles in shaping my directions in terms of my areas of research, which were physicochemical processes, and then the determination to teach in the area of water resources.